Hello! It's time for another Let's Play, a game I never played, despite having ample opportunities to when I was younger. Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars. It was kind of... At the time I was big into LucasArts games, and I heard this one was harder because you could die, and that turned me off to it, but these days I understand it's just, save, load. So this is the Director's Cut Steam thingy. I picked it up at some bundle, probably. I've never played this game before, so I've been told the puzzles are more logical.
Paris. City of love, romance, and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too. But ever since that day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death.
Impressive. I don't understand what the director's cut means here exactly. Mostly because I haven't looked. I probably should. Is it a major overhaul of the graphics? Or is it redone puzzles? Or... Given the way my brain works, I'll probably spend hours staring blankly at the things you're screaming at me through the monitor. No, you idiot! Put the hat on the pigeon! Or something like that. Whereas I'll be able to easily solve some random puzzle that was the bane of everyone's existence.
I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes. But unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
Ah, the talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father? He never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose. Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame. That was no cat. My God, what? Monsieur Carchon!
He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered. And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer.
Oh, we have a female protagonist. Just hits. Ah, there we are. Ah, so there's no pixel hunting because we can, well, it'll pan over. Hasn't the game, like, tipped its hand a bit early on mimes are evil, though? I mean, we all know it, but...
Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before, and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him. Some people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend. In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now. Carchon had been shot. It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down. I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow. I had closed his eyes.
Nice.
Rigor mortis hadn't set in yet.
Trying to figure out his, like...
I opened his eyes. Best to leave the crime scene as I found it.
Ah, okay, so I did get it right.
His lifeless eyes stared blankly at nothing.
I was looking at that cursor way there, I realized right-click is the one on the right. Yeah, okay. Ah, that's how we get back out.
A bust of Pierre Carchon, humble servant of La France. Pierre Carchon again. His eyes seemed to follow me around the room.
Such a humble man.
You had to end it to the Ice Queen. She showed me her fabrics. A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job. I didn't want to cut myself and leave blood on the glass. Call me old-fashioned, but I like to keep my DNA to myself. This was the work of the mime. Unless the cat was in on it too. Your original 18th century high-security window handle. The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and took it with him.
As characters in adventure games are wont to do with ladders.
The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions.
Going to make a quick save now anyway. I really don't know, so it can't hurt to start making them paranoidally. Is there anything else in this room I have not checked out?
It was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. When I was a little girl, Papa used to take me on the Bateau Mouche as a treat. It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact.
Okay.
The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them. A Louis XIV's table with an antique cloth. Imelda had taste, but hey, with a husband that rich, taste is easy. A medieval pageant. Original, no doubt. The tapestry must have cost a fortune.
What do we have here?
A beautiful cloth had been draped over the table. It was embroidered with an unusual cross. I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful.
Ooh, a thing.
Even my fingernail wouldn't fit into such a small hole.
Your fingernail, no, but...
Aha! Nico, you are just so damn good at this stuff.
Now I see why that's her favorite
A key
hairpin.
had been hidden in a secret compartment. A modern key. Instead of comforting Imelda, I was ransacking her flat. Why? Because there was something going on here, and I had to get answers before the cops arrived. And hey, she'd been rude to me, so she had it coming.
I was going to say that, but you beat me to it. Can't I, like... close this back up? Okay, she does that as we're leaving.
Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that. It was a tube of acrylic paint. French ultramarine. Just the color I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing? Oh, this paint. It's my favorite color.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
I wonder if this ultramarine we've got here is the same as the color I know as Ultramarine's Blue from Games Workshop's paint
The
line.
tube of paint from Imelda's easel. French ultramarine.
Talk to her, but look at her first. Stare and judge her.
Imelda looked shocked, but still every bit as hostile. Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start.
It's actually kind of weird having their heads here talk, etc., but the portrait not.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Collard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women.
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
We shall see.
The last thing she needed to talk about was paint. Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything.
No, and frankly I preferred it that way. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronize me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
These options! We're an adventure game protagonist.
I certainly don't let it get in the way of a good story.
I admire your loyalty to your profession.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Because you have no choice. The police will take weeks, in which time your own life may be in danger.
What?
Believe me, this killer has struck before, and he will strike again. Who is to know that you are not next on his list?
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
I think perhaps you do have a moral sense. Of sorts. You're not a very good liar, Nico Collard. And I share your low opinion of the police. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Did she actually open up slightly?
Thank you. I promise you won't regret this.
Granted, I suppose the best way for people to bond is over mutual dislike of something. The internet's anything to go by.
The door was locked.
And then we used the key on it.
Now we were getting somewhere. Even the light switch looked impressive. I didn't need the lights on. It was light enough already.
Okay.
The painting showed the Carchons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie? The Carchons. Noblesse oblige. The painting was attached firmly to the wall.
Except for this thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean...
There was a small button hidden in the picture frame.
That is not a small button!
There was the very faintest of clicks. Behind the picture was a safe. The safe looked pretty secure. The safe was locked. I needed the key.
This is probably the key. Of course, we'll still need the combination. No? Wait.
There was a strange stone cylinder in the safe. In the safe was some kind of artifact. There were strange symbols on its surface. It looked like the printer's blocks I'd made at art school. If there was one thing I'd learned about symbols, they are always important. But these symbols scratched into stone were impossible to read. I needed to find a way of printing them. At least the stone was round. But what could I use for ink? And what could I print on? Sure, I was stealing, but I knew Imelda didn't know about the artifact, and Carchon was past caring.
I've got an idea.
Putting the paint straight on the cylinder would be too messy. The paint would go everywhere.
Okay.
I smeared the paint all over the cloth. When I do messy, I really like to put my heart into it. They don't make lace like that anymore. I wiped the paint-covered cloth over the surface of the stone cylinder. It took me right back to art class at school. And Maurice, my gorgeous art teacher. Such a shame they had to fire him. Ah well. Concentrate, Nico, concentrate.
I wonder if she's a bad girl, as it were, because we can probably roll this thing out on that desk there. Chose the bad girl options, or not?
As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision. Genius! The roller and the paint worked just as I planned. But what did it say? It was some kind of coded message. It read, sub judice. I may not have learned a lot as a journalist, but that was a term I knew well. It means a legal case that is before the courts. Below it was a sequence of letters that made no sense. I suddenly realized there was a connection between the boat ticket and the coded message. The boat ticket was stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The Conciergerie on the Ile de la Cité, by the river, housed the ancient law courts. So, sub judice could in this case mean literally under the law courts, below the conciergerie.
Huh. Well, I'm glad she knows more than I do about this.
The in-tray, like everything else in this place, was beautiful. One day I was going to have an in-tray like that, even if I had to sell my apartment to pay for it. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it. No.
Aw.
The cloth would get paint on the tray, but not enough for what I needed.
Ah, so we want paint on the tray now? I'm confused.
I'd spread blue paint over the bottom of the tray. It was ruined. I was a very bad girl, but also quite a clever one. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it. In a way, I was going back to art school.
So wait, I'm confused now. Why are we doing this?
I rolled the artifact in the paint until it was completely coated. An antique tray with paint spread all over it. Not a lot I could do with that. No.
Have I found alternate solutions to
It
this?
was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. There were still some traces of paint in the tray. It would never be the same again. An ant, not a... My heart skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant. But not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made. So Carchon had known my father. They really must have been friends. I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda.
Yoink.
I was pretty sure I'd found all I could here. And besides, all this opulence was making me pine for my regular life of poverty. This was a huge story. It was also one heck of a puzzle with a lot of pieces missing. But I was going to crack it. And if I could just remember the name of that fancy prize you get for being an ace journalist, I was definitely going to win it this time. I didn't need to take the leather holder with me.
Aw.
It was a back door. It was a back door. Locked. Not surprising, really.
Do we have the key?
It didn't work, but I guess it would have been surprising if it had.
Eh.
The sofa was antique. For one horrible moment, I had an image of a naked Carchon wriggling around on it with a young journalist. Oh. This wasn't the time for me to lie on this sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression. Though it is very popular at parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why.
Let's talk to her again.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving. Do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
He was given it by a friend. Something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No. But I think it was important to him. Always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Imelda, I will do everything I can to find the killer.
Thank you, my dear.
And if the police ask,
Don't worry. You were never here.
sub judice was the key. I was going to have to find a way under the conciergerie. I decided to head straight for the quayside on the Ile de la Cité. If there was a way of getting under the conciergerie, it would have to be from there. Carchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river. He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed.
So wait, if she was never here, then that means the killer came into the house, destroyed a priceless Ming vase, killed the man, went into his study, and smeared paint in his inbox. The perfect crime. But with that scene done, I think we're going to stop for now. I will see you next time I feel like doing one of these, which, well, I've been in a fairly good mood, so should probably be tomorrow. Later, everyone.